Well, let's get straight into it now, and it's been a big week of news in all corners of the country. Joining me now to cut through it all is 2GB and 4BC radio broadcaster and new host of Overnights, Luke Grant. Luke, welcome to the show and congratulations on the new gig. You've been keeping me company in the wee small hours. Now, the case
Good.
the case for the Indigenous voice to Parliament, it took a big step back this week, you'd have to say, when Greens Senator Lydia Thorpe basically declared war, ambushing the Prime Minister's Voice campaign. She used Australia Day yesterday, of course, the Invasion Day rally, to basically launch the No campaign. I can't see how the PM's Voice campaign is going to recover from this when he's now basically fighting battles on two fronts.
I think that's a very fair comment. I was talking through the week with Professor David Flint, as you know, had a lot to do with the Republic debate, leading the case for the Conservatives, had a lot to do with it. And his judgment, he writes in The Spectator about this, is that the numbers, even on the numbers now, it looks very difficult for the yes vote to get up. But isn't it extraordinary, Caleb, how this has gone from, let's do this, let's as a country have a big cuddle, let's do the right thing, blah, blah, blah. And if you dare to speak against it, you are instantly a racist, or even worse. Now we're getting a bit more detail, and we're seeing how government ignores voices, which they clearly do, evidenced, I think, in the Alice. People are rightly asking questions. What's the good of a voice if no one's going to hear it? There were voices around Alice Springs in the middle of last year. What happened to them? They weren't heard. They were from local Indigenous leaders. So there's plenty of questions being put, which I think is only fair. The government's reluctance to provide that booklet giving the yay and the nay case looks a bit suspicious. So, this has been appallingly handled. He's taken his simplistic approach, and I think on a large part, Caleb treats Australians like mugs, quite frankly.
And as you mentioned, the reality of the youth crime crisis that's raging in Alice Springs, it couldn't have come at a worse time. While you've got, the East Coast elites debating Australia Day and the PM's fumbling over the voice, the reality of life for many Indigenous Australians has been exposed. It's, you're on Talkback all week. What's the reaction been to what's happened in Alice Springs compared to the discussion that we've all been having in Sydney and Melbourne about, should we have a voice?
Yeah. Well, I think people are far more interested in getting that sorted out than what Albo might bring to the people one Saturday, perhaps in October. This is, I listened to your introductory editorial and commentary around what Linda Burney said on radio this week. There's some factual omissions here from the government's case. Omission one is Jacinta Price, the now senator, who of course is on the different side of the political spectrum to the government. She was saying in June last year, hey, hang on, this is going to be a drama. Can we just take our collective breaths and just think about what follows stronger futures? I interviewed Matt Patterson, the mayor of Alice Springs, in July last year, and he told me that bottle shop sales were up 300%. They'd recorded more than 50 alcohol-fueled domestic violence incidents in just 2 nights, and crime was under control. It's, as I said before, Caleb, and you know this, it's all very well to have a voice. You've got to have a special voice? What was wrong with the voice of the Mayor of the Alice? What was wrong with Jacinta's voice? For goodness sakes, this has been so poorly managed by the territory government, and now their Labor mates in Canberra trying to cover up.
Well, bad look. This is my point, They're basically admitting that if there's not a legislated voice, it doesn't exist in either the Constitution or in legislation, they're not going to listen to it. It's just ridiculous. Now, the New South Wales election campaign sort of unofficially got underway this week. We're 9 weeks out from March 25. The latest polls look like bad news for Dominic Perrottet. The polls point to Labor winning in March, but in the preferred Premier's race, Perrottet is still in the lead. Does Minns have what it takes to pull through at the end, do you think?
It's a great question, mate. I shared Minns's piece in the News Corp papers today, the Telegraph in Sydney, about banning mobile phones in high school, and I was interested to see and read what people had to say. There wasn't a lot of love there. I think there's respect for Perrottet, but the bunch of merry men and women he leads, there's little time for. One of those that keeps popping up in the feedback I get is Matt Keane, who of course has got a love-a-thon going with Albo and Bobo, Chris Bowen, the climate minister. So I think traditional Liberal voters are very uncomfortable about the influence of the left of the party. Look, the party in New South Wales probably is a basket case. I think Perrottet's well liked. I think Menz is not well known. I think Perrottet's team is not well liked. And that's going to be the problem Dominic faces when he goes to the polls on March 25.
Well, another tack, more Novak Djokovic drama at the Oz Open this year. But of course, this time it's not Novak who's in the spotlight, it's his father. Djokovic Sr. was filmed taking photos with that group of men who were kicked out of the Open for flying a Russian flag featuring Vladimir Putin's face on it. I mean, what do you think? Should Novak's dad should he face a ban? Which is certainly what a lot of people are saying. I feel like it's a bit far, really.
It is. I don't think you could ban him for that, but I think his son should say something like, "Listen, Dad, a year ago I couldn't get into the joint. Now I'm in the joint, and it looks like people really like me again. Whatever you do when we're there, please don't stand anywhere near a Russian flag, a picture of Putin, or sympathisers. Can we do that? Yeah, sure, son." He has to go. He has to say, "Dad, come here for a second," and then just have a mate. Probably don't go tonight. Maybe go to the final. When you go to the final, just sit next to my coach and please say nothing. No, I don't think you can ban him.
No,
as much as we don't like it, and we don't like it, I think you're still entitled, even if it provides you and I with a challenge, to stand next to whoever you like. I mean, it's horrible look, a horrible look.
Yeah, we all know about embarrassing parents. We all know about embarrassing parents, Luke. Now,
mate, speak for yourself. What are you saying?
Staying on the topic of Ukraine, a big win in their fight against Russia this week as Germany has confirmed the delivery of their Leopard 2 tanks, and the US is also committed to sending their Abrams tanks. It's not as many as Ukraine have asked for, but it's a big step in the right direction. Just 20 seconds, Luke. As we approach 12 months of conflict, this is an important escalation to support Ukraine. Is it going to turn the tide, though?
Oh, mate, I wish I knew. I hope it did. The trouble is, what does Putin do if all of a sudden Zelensky, with the might of the West and NATO, starts to really, I do worry about that. But it's got to be good for the Ukrainians. It's great that they've got this stuff. It'll take them 3 or 4 months to train their people up. But anything they can do to keep Ukrainians safe is good by me.
Hear, hear. Luke Grant, thank you for joining me.